Hasn't been too long since you've gotten into the ring, but how does it feel to be getting back with some of these old contemporaries?
I tell you what, the first thing I want to say, I want to thank the WWF for inviting me here tonight. I am very happy to see all the fellows that I knew before, way before. And you got a great champions around here today. Used to be anyway, and I'm glad to be here anyway.
What is it? How has wrestling changed from back in the '60s when you were in your prime to now?
Well, I tell you, today is a little faster and a little better than we were before. Believe me. They say they grow bigger. Today kids are bigger and kids are faster. But I mean, you got to handle to the guys today. They wrestle. They work hard at it. So,
anybody in the ring today who you are particularly impressed with?
Well, yeah, this the Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I'm impressed with this guy very much because he looks big. He works hard at it. I think he's a great champion.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So you're not wrestling tonight?
No.
Okay, so
you can ask me what I'm doing. I'll be glad to tell you.
Okay, I'll ask you what you're doing. I'll ask you about how wrestling's changed from when you were in your heyday to now. I want to ask you about Lou Thesz because we've done an extensive long interview with him in the past. And what's Freddie Blassie up to these days?
Freddie Blassie is the official prognosticator extraordinaire for WWF. And that's wherever we wrestle, I have 4 or 5 people working in the office. They make the contacts with different radio stations and newspapers, and then they tell me who to call, when to call, and what time to call, and what day to call, and for what town it is. And that's my job, because they say having a melodious voice like mine, you hear it once, you never forget it. And I have to say, Freddie Blassie makes that kind of an impression on people.
Freddie Blassie, looking back 20, 30 years when you wrestled to now, what is the difference between wrestling?
Let's start it officially. I started 53 years ago, this coming February. That's how long I'll be in the business. And it changed so much you wouldn't believe it. If the things that the fellas are doing today, if we'd have tried to attempt to do them when I was wrestling, we'd have gotten nosebleeds, like jumping off the top rope onto the floor and things. We never did anything like that because it was more or less just Greco-Roman and catch as catch can. Today it's much more spectacular. It's sports entertainment, something for everyone.
Freddie Blassie was one of the best drawing cards back even as much as 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. But it seems like you were so much smaller than the wrestlers today. If Freddie Blassie were starting out today, he would have a tough time.
Well, no, I don't think I'd have a tough time because I was more vicious, and I was the dirtiest thing. By saying dirty, I mean fellow used more illegal tactics than anyone else. I did it to them before they had a chance to do it to me. I only weighed 232 pounds, but if I once got a hold of you, I'd start chewing on the front, and I wouldn't end up until I got behind you. And my tactics were always, it's not what you do, but how you do it. Because if me, a referee is like the 5th post in the ring, useless. And the thing to do is do things that he doesn't catch you. Anybody can get out there, punch and hit and bite and kick and pull hair and things. But the thing is to do it and get away with them. See, there's 4 sides of the ring. There are those rings out there, and those spectators out there, those pencil neck geeks, they're always yelling, do this, do this. But the referee never did catch me. And with me, it was real science. And I believe I would fare pretty well today. In fact, I go to the gym 2, 3, 4 times a week and still work out. And as I said, I'm going to be 70 years old come this February. Don't I look good, women?
A gentleman who you know very well from St. Louis, Lou Thesz. People say he was the greatest wrestler of all time.
Well, now, Lou was good, but I come from St. Louis, too, you know. I mean, it was always debatable who was the best, Lou or myself. And I still think that I was the best. He said he was the best. And if he still wants to get in the ring, I'm still willing to get in the ring with him. I've had 2 total knee replacements, and I just had a hip replaced last October. And that pencil neck geek, I mean, I'll fight him fire with fire. He might stick to legal wrestling, but I'm not going to stick to legal wrestling. I don't claim to be the most scientific wrestler in the world. I just went out and won the majority of my bouts. That's all that counts, winning. That's my motto. Lou Thesz is good. You pencil neck geek, you, but you never seen a day you were better than classy Freddie Blassie.
Freddie Blassie still as mean as ever?
Still mean as ever. Ask my, you know, I've been married 8 times. People said, how come you get married so often? Well, they get old. You got to get new ones, you know. That's what I do. I'm on my 8th wife now. She's an Oriental girl. Not bad, but she's getting kind of old too. I'm looking for the 9th one.
Okay. Gene, it's been a long time. How's it feel to be getting back into the ring?
Well, it's just great. Like I've often said, I said it on numerous occasions, if anything has ever happened to me, never call a doctor. Throw me in a wrestling ring, and I know I'd be good for another 60 minutes. If you're any type of athlete at all your injuries, aches, and pains should leave you, whether you step on a basketball court, a hockey rink, football field, or a wrestling mat. Hey, that's the way we earn our living. It's been very, very good to me. And like I've said, put me in a wrestling ring, and I'm good like I've never, ever left. You don't forget anything. It's like an involuntary reflex. I go like this, you automatically blink. Once I step in that ring, where else can you make that type of money and get that adulation from fans? They boo you, they cheer you. What a beautiful way to make money. All my life, once I started school at the University of Arizona, being a Canadian, I went there on a football and wrestling scholarship, and then pro football and pro wrestling. I just cannot think of a nicer way to make a living.
Wrestling today and wrestling when you wrestle. What's the difference?
Well, it's just like airplanes. They used to have propellers on them. Now we're in the jet era. Everything has changed. It's faster. In football now, we have the different uniforms, the cheerleaders, they got horns, and they've got masks, and people just want a different, let's say more pizzazz. But basically, it's still football, wrestling, hockey, whatever you want to call it.
Is it better?
Well, let's face it, the bottom line is how much you have in the bank at the end of the year. That's what counts. Go ahead, excuse me, I'm your guest.
I was just going to ask you to change the subject a little bit. Lou Thesz, 6-time world champion, somebody you've wrestled before.
Well, I just felt anytime I stepped in the ring with Lou Thesz, it was a wrestling lesson. I always learned something, and he was a very, very good teacher. I'm very, very grateful that I got to wrestle him on so many occasions because the experience I gained being in the ring with him has really helped me, and it's helped both my sons in wrestling. It's what you learn on the way up that counts.
Okay, great.
Before leaving, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you wonderful American people for allowing me home via TV, and you did a superb job. Thank you.
Thank you. Gene, if I could just ask you one thing.
Yes. I didn't do it, honestly, I didn't.
No, I don't know, just sitting here, I think that these guys may be at a disadvantage. You just retired a couple of months ago, and you're still in great shape.
They needed a kid on the block, so that's why I'm in it. And I can't say that. I mean, being second generation, these are people that from the time I was a baby, I was around, I knew the names, and which includes the world champion, former world champion Lou Thesz. He likes to tell the story about how I sat on his knee and wet all over him.
Speaking of Lou Thesz, one of the greatest wrestlers.
Yes.
What can you tell us about him?
Phenomenal. My father actually started him, and I never knew this for many years. They were very close, and I think the first time I ever wrestled Lou Thesz, I was 15 years old, and it was a demonstration in Santa Monica, California. And when my dad came home and said, "You're going to be on TV Sunday wrestling Lou Thesz," and at that time I weighed about 185 pounds. And I think my heart just stopped. As a high school kid who had been wrestling in high school and all my life, it was just phenomenal. And of course he wanted to do it, and they wanted to do it for the fact that he could say that when I was about 6 months old, I wet all over his pants. And then, of course, to be here tonight, someone else said, they says, what's really great about all of you guys is that all of you chose a certain profession, way of life, and stayed in it your entire life. And it was a woman, and she was saying it's amazing because she works with a lot of professional people, and she said careers change, people change jobs and occupations, but none of us have. We've been in it all our life. It's been great. I've loved every minute of it.
And you were in it 25 years ago, or at least? And up till
the 30-year mark,
30
easy,
years ago,
sure.
And a couple of months ago. And what has been the difference from day one to the last day?
I think what it really is, it's like everything in our day and age. It's up-tempo. The athletes today, I think, are good athletes. They're even better, as all the athletes have improved. I think the rules of the game allow it to improve, but I also say that the athletes today are taking far more chances than we did. A lot more of them are coming off the top rope. They're doing things. I guess they want that adulation that we had, and I guess they feel they've got to ascend to a higher level. And in doing so, they're taking far more chances. There's a lot more of them busted up and getting busted up and falling off to the wayside and dropping out of the picture. And you know, you don't sell tickets with busted up wrestlers. But they are taking those chances, but they are great. They have my admiration totally.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good, sir. Whenever you're ready.
Tell me when you're ready. A lot of people were surprised that Luthez, age 71, the oldest person in there, can go in there and win.
Well, it's a crazy thing. You know, Lou, one-on-one is a different situation, and in all fairness to the other men that were in there were 3 or 4 really top-flight wrestlers in there that I don't know how well I would fare with them in a complete match from bell time to a finish hold of some kind. I was kind of playing my cards kind of cute because I had a hip done a little over a year ago, but I discovered tonight that it's perfect and there's no problem, and I'm going to get into some singles again and see what I can do. And I really enjoyed doing this tonight. Bunch of old pros in there, guys that know where they're going and they've been around the horn, you know. And I was really careful, but I'm beginning to feel as if I can spread my wings now and take off and get some really competitive one-on-one matches.
You're really reflective. You should be happy that you won this thing.
Oh, I am happy. You know, the happiest thing, when I was a kid, when I was 20 years of age, I won the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. And I certainly don't mean to minimize what we did tonight because it was great, you know, and I was really, really happy to be able to win it. But you take it in stride, and with the help that I had, Lou, I had Ed Stringer Lewis and a 3-time Olympic winner, Tragus, and Ray Steele, and some of the really greats of the past. And I said this so many times, and not in jest, that under those conditions, a monkey could have picked it up, you know. And it's like I said earlier in another interview, right? It's like riding a bike, and once you know where you're going and you watch the people and you watch their feet and you have some kind of an idea where they're going and what they're up to. And I don't mean this makes it sound mysterious, but the only thing that's mysterious to us human beings is something we don't know, you know. And like animals with electric shock, they can't figure it out, so it frightens them, you know. And the same thing with us. And having devoted my entire life to this thing, I really do take it in stride, and I don't mean to be smart aleck about it, but I really do enjoy the game. And I so wish I could turn the clock back maybe even 20 years and start out at 50 or 51 again, and I'd travel the world again and do the same thing all over again. But I think I'll just stay in this country and pad my part as well as I can. And I'm sure that with a competitive match that I'd have some problems with some of these people, like I said before, but that's part of the game.
There's one thing I wanted to ask you, and it just slipped my mind. How did it feel to be back?
Oh, it's wonderful. Really, it's exhilarating to get back in there because, as you know, I've been off. This is really the first competitive match, something that's really important that I've done in 3 years. I wrestled a couple of other matches in Virginia and so forth, but people that were not really wrestling oriented, you know, and it wasn't really a fair contest. But tonight it was different. I was in there with some pros, and luckily they worked on each other, and I managed to eke it out at the end, you know, and it was just this kind of a fortunate thing. And O'Connor's a great competitor. The son of a gun can wrestle, and so can that Gene Kaniski and these guys, and it sounds like a boastful thing, but I really am very pleased to get the victory. And I may not be able to hold it up very long, I don't know. But I'm going to try again. I'm going to go on a one-on-one with one of these cats and see what I can do.
You and O'Connor at the end there, it was like back in the old days, real wrestling.
Well, we're wrestlers, you know. We were steeped in wrestling all our lives. I've devoted my entire life to it, and so has Pat. And I knew that if I would get in there with Bockwinkel or Pat or one or two of the other fellows, I knew we were going to end up with a wrestling match. And that's what happened, and I'm pleased about that. And maybe they'll give the folks a little bit of comparison to see what it was like years ago and what it's like today. And I know wrestling is a lot faster today, and it's really a lot more interesting for the wrestling fan. But for the person that's really into wrestling, sometimes maybe they'll enjoy that. The elderly people will. You see, we got an age group here, like maybe over 40 or over 45 or 50. They'll enjoy this, and they'll remember what it was like yesteryear, you know.
Okay, great. If you can just lift the hat back